So how many of you here find that as this weather is getting colder and damper, your wrists and hands are starting to feel a little bit creaky, maybe possibly not quite as mobile, perhaps a little sore, but really just not as flexible as they feel during the warmer weather? So we are going to do a little bit of hand and wrist care today. I'm going to break it down into simple chunks. And you'll be able to use these through the winter and just keep your wrists and fingers feeling slightly more manoeuvrable. So let's start with a bit of a warm-up. What I'd like you to do is link your fingers. You'll find that you naturally link in one direction, so let's start in there. So we're going to start with our fingers naturally linked together, and we are just going to roll our wrists. Go quite slowly, go through all the movement, see how it feels. So get an idea in your head of how it feels. You're going to also find that there's one direction that you want to move in. See, I'm quite happy here. But when I try to reverse the movement, my brain goes, so reverse the movement now. Try to keep those hands together. We don't want to see any of this yet. We're going to move on to that. Let your breath soften. And just rotate those wrists. Okay, so you went into your natural place. Now what I'd like you to do is reverse it. So I'm happy here. You're going to reverse it to here. Okay, so we're going to do a little bit more wrist rolling. See where it feels glitchy, see where it feels a bit stuck. Oh, and then we're going to reverse it. Oh my gosh, my brain didn't know what to do there. Alrighty. Now what we're going to do is we're going to start with one elbow up and we're going to rock it all the way through. I'm going to actually turn my fingers so I'm back in my comfortable place because I know that my brain knows how to do it. Can't do it today. Ah, there we go. Isn't it funny how sometimes when you're trying to do a thing, your brain just goes, yep, nope. So think about body popping. It's a body popping caterpillar move. Get it as fluid as you can and allow that movement to come into your shoulders, but make sure at some point your hands come back together. Got it? Ooh. I want to try and do it the other way now. Okay. That's the same way. There we go. It's funny, isn't it, how our brains, when we're not used to a movement, it goes say what, who, what, and it totally jumps that movement up. Right. So we're now nice and warm. Wrists. Caterpillar, caterpillar. See, now my brain isn't having to think about it. And it's the same for you too. Fabulous. Next thing we're going to do is you're going to grab a cushion. I am strangely colour coordinating with my pillow. And you're just going to pop it on your lap. Pull your sleeves up if you can. And this time we're going to use the point of your elbow. Okay, so we could do this with thumbs, but that's going to tire your hands out. And if you've already got tired hands, if they're already a bit creaky from the weather, let's not go there. So we're going to use the point of your elbow. And you are just going to let your wrist go loose and put the point of your elbow into the soft, muscly, fleshy bit of your forearm. Put this up a little bit so you can see. And we're going to very slowly, you're going to find some tight points here. That's all good. We're going to very slowly work down. Down, 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 down. Oh, and you're going to use that pointy bit of your elbow just to massage into the muscles. Okay, so if we're looking at hands and wrists, you might be wondering why we're going all the way up to the muscles of our forearm, up by our elbow. So the very cool thing about your hand architecture is that to stop your hands being bulky and meaty, we keep the muscles further away. So most of the muscles for all hand movement are positioned up on the forearm, and then they use very long, powerful tendons to create the movement of your hand. Feels so good. And again, just clunk. Let your breath drop in. So do that a few times, and then you can turn your arm over so you have your underside of your forearm, and you can do the same thing. So remember to keep your working arm wrist nice and soft. And you might find as you do this, your fingers just move a little bit as you put pressure on the tendons. Alrighty, and now we can do it on the other arm. So swap over, using the point of your elbow into your tissuey fleshiness. We're just gonna massage, keeping this wrist soft, she says as a reminder to herself. So can you just see that I'm just sliding that away? The cushion gives me just a little bit more room on top of my leg for my arm to rest comfortably. Bring it all the way down. Alright, so as I was saying, there are short, powerful muscles towards your elbow and your forearm, which are connected to very powerful tendons which control your finger movement. So on the back side of your arm you've got your extensors, and on the front side, the underside of your arm, you've got your flexors. That's why we're working both the front and the back. For anyone who's had the experience of, say, carpal tunnel or overuse injury of the wrist, it's important to get into these muscles. So the carpal tunnel syndrome, carpal tunnel problems that we talk about are because these tendons are so powerful and they're connected to such powerful muscles that if they were left to their own devices, you'd be in this position. So there's a thing called a retinaculum, which is a band of connective tissue which holds those tendons down to your wrist. It's what stops you from doing this. So the band stays here. What happens though is as you use your arm a lot and you use your hand a lot, gunk builds up under that retinaculum, that band of connective tissue here, and it stops the tendons from being able to smoothly run up and down. Okay, so we can use your elbow in the bottom of your palm around here, which is just going to help clear all that gunk out. It's going to give you a good flow of blood supply. So what I'm doing is I'm using that point of my elbow into this point here. It's quite hard to show you on a camera. So take some time, just gently, don't go gouging in, don't go digging in. We use the thumb pad muscles, that thenar muscle, a lot. It helps us create the grip. It's what differentiates us from other animals. The opposable thumb. An opposable thumb means that we can go across. Yeah, we've got lots of mobility. Ooh. So we're just going to get into that tissue in the palm of our hands. So when we start massaging, when we start using gentle pressure, we're increasing the blood supply, we're getting more oxygen around there, we're allowing all the old crap and gunk to be flushed away and fresh blood supply to come through. It also releases the tightness in the muscles as well. A lot of us in our modern role, we text a lot, we're holding devices, excuse me, we're holding devices which mean that we are opposing our thumb a lot. So we need to get into these muscles, we need to get into these muscles just to get them happy and comfortable and soft and movable again. Alright, so you can spend as long as you want on all of these areas. It's absolutely up to you. We're just doing a quick run through. Alrighty, so. And it's the same thing that you can use the point of your elbow in the back here, which is also an important energy point in the body. Remembering to keep this wrist nice and soft. I don't know if you can see it, so we're coming into here. Got it? It's tricky. It's always tricky filming these things. Alrighty. Your final piece of hand maintenance that you're going to be looking at is the fingers. What we want to be doing is, instead of pulling on the fingers, which can feel nice and you can give them some gentle stroking, what we're going to mostly be focusing our attention on is stacking the joints and adding a very gentle pressure into the hand. Okay, so if we're quite tight in our finger joints anyway, you'll find that the tissue wants to compress. So we're going to add some extra compression onto the system, which is just going to let the brain relax because it's gone into its happy place, into its position of ease, and it will give it the opportunity to just allow the release process to take place by itself. So it's really important that you keep your joints stacked up, yeah? So don't go pulling them around or bending your knuckles and shoving against. So keep your fingers straight, take your other hand and wrap around it. I have my thumb supporting underneath into the palm of the hand to allow me to keep that straight line. So can you see? My thumb out of the way. I've got everything stacked nice and straight. And I'm just using the mildest of pressure just to introduce those joints back towards the body. And you can do each finger for a couple of minutes at a time. It's a really restful exercise that you can do like at the end of the day when you're watching TV or if you're listening to music. A bit tricky to read a book whilst you're doing it, but so you're just going to stack the joints one on top of the other, support them using your thumb. See, we're all supported, we're all stacked up, and I'm just gently applying a pressure which pushes the finger joints back in towards the hand. And you can do it again and again. See, so if I show you there, the joints are stacked up, my thumb is supporting, and I'm just gently putting pressure in towards the palm of my hand. And this one. Depending on where you feel most comfy, you might want to do it so that you line your thumb up on the outside of the thumb. But it's the same thing. Keeping that thumb nice and straight. We're just going to gather up all those joints and push them back very, very gently into the palm of the hand or towards the wrist. So it's all in alignment with my arm, if you see where I am. So the pressure is going from the tip of the thumb all the way through the joints of the thumb, through the hand, through the wrist, up towards the elbow. Yep. And we can do it on the same process on the other side. Again, it depends on how you feel comfortable, whether you feel more comfy that way or that way, but it's the same idea. Stack those joints, keep them nice and straight, stack them in towards the hand, and then across the wrist joint, and then up towards the elbow. Alright, so those are 3 really, really simple little things that you can be doing to keep your hands and wrists feeling supple over the colder months. So we have the wrist rolling and the caterpillar, crack crack, both my shoulders. We have the elbow stroking and the massaging down the forearm on both sides, and then we have the compression of those fingers and thumb joints, stacking them all up so that they get just a little bit of try those for yourself, let me know how you get on, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye!